Tonight we're back on Ponsonby Road for the 2015 Auckland Pride Parade.
Kia ora and welcome to the 50th episode of GayTalk Tonight, a little bit of a milestone there, and also a bit of a celebration tonight as we're taking a look at the 2015 Auckland Pride Parade. It was a warm, cloudy evening, somewhat in keeping with this year's theme of gods and monsters. It had rained earlier in the day, but thankfully the rain gods stayed away when the moment came. With a slightly later start, the parade seemed to run a bit smoother. There were some delays, however, and a group of protesters found themselves on the wrong side of the law, and indeed the wrong float. A protester was injured, and arguments over this are continuing. A colourful rainbow ribbon appeared for the official opening of the parade. It was dutifully cut by Auckland's Mayor Len Brown, and then came the traditional bike pass from the Dykes on Bikes. Te whānau Uanuku were first up and featured a number of Māori gods and goddesses that have appeared in myth and legend. Up next was Ngā Morahu with some fabulous aunties paying homage to the late great Carmen Rupe. Men and women in uniform are a popular attraction at the parade, and once again the New Zealand Defence Force Overwatch marches drew a huge response from the crowd. The Defence Force leads the world in supporting lesbian, gay and transgender service personnel. The New Zealand Police came next, and with them was a pipe band, police dogs and officers on horseback. After the police came a small contingent from the Department of Corrections. This was the first time they'd attended the parade, and they were the subjects of the protest mentioned earlier. And the St John Ambulance were on hand with officers on motorbikes and a very noisy ambulance. Lesbian Pride was on show with the dryland swimmers who hailed from the western suburb of Avondale. Neptune and his sea creatures provided a nautical flavour, this float provided by costume hire firm First Scene. The Green Party claimed to have no monsters but did feature the Uanuku, which is a Māori goddess of the rainbow. Also known as Isis in Greek culture, she was portrayed by Green MP Jan Logie. The Charlotte Museum Trust is the only lesbian museum in the world as far as we know, and they portrayed goddesses being heralded by trumpet blasts. Artspace New Zealand commissioned students to make flags that represent the spirit of pride and political and social change. Rainbow families were out in force, reminding us that all of us belong to families and love is at the heart of each one. The Labour Party made a colourful splash on Ponsonby Road. Amongst them were Labour MPs Louisa Wall, Grant Robertson and David Cunliffe. Supporting women and families living with HIV were Positive Women. And the National Party was represented for the first time in the parade. MP Nikki Kay marched in a bright pink dress, and she was joined by National List MP Melissa Lee. You may remember Miss Lee voted against marriage equality in 2013 but marched alongside her fellow MP anyway. Auckland Rainbow Community Church took the theme of gods and monsters and turned it into No God, No Monsters. They provided a team of angels. Coming all the way from Waiheke Island was a taniwha, one of the kaitiaki of the island, reminding us to love and protect our environment. Fast and Furious were the Auckland Roller Derby and the Pirate City Rollers League. These girls like their sport fast-paced but fun. Specially created for this year's parade was the marching band the Brass Bandits, with their collection of woodwind, percussion and brass instruments. Body Positive is an agency supporting those affected by HIV and AIDS. This year they made a striking appearance covered in vibrant red balloons. Next year sees Auckland hosting the 4th Asia Pacific Out Games. Their float, filled with dancing monsters, encouraged us to get on board for this fantastic event in February 2016. A challenge to stop bullying was made by the Aroha Project float. This project designed to ensure our young people are safe and supported. It was headed by Mika. The goddess Melanie came south from Whangarei, proudly displaying her captives who apparently had monsters lurking within. The New Zealand AIDS Foundation Remembrance Float gave us the chance to pause and remember all of those who've died or been affected by the HIV epidemic. A poignant reminder that the epidemic is still touching lives. Balloons the size of some mortgages wended their way down Ponsonby Road, carried by representatives of the Westpac Bank. They had the slogan, "We're open, are you?" Rainbow Youth brought a modern touch to the Gods and Monsters theme with the Pokemon Pikachu, Suki from True Blood and many others. Queer Waikato was a collaboration between support groups and UniQ to celebrate diversity and pride. They came as a collection of gods, goddesses and non-gendered deities of love and lust. Auckland Council joined in the fun with a float centred around Eunomia, the Greek goddess of, would you believe it, laws and legislation. And a convoy of straight and gay surfers, farmers and assorted strays came all the way from Raglan to be in the parade, their aim to celebrate diversity. Gods representing truth and monsters representing lies made up the Amnesty International float. It was a political statement taking a swipe at repression of queer people in Russia. Unitec incarnated musical god Elton John, who was supported by winged backup singers, and he serenaded the crowd with some of his biggest hits. Outline New Zealand is a free, confidential nationwide telephone service that provides essential care to our communities. They marched with pride. As did Youthline, whose float illustrated the complex and challenging dynamic between our inner gods and monsters and the journey that young people go through to be resilient. The Peer Sexuality Support Program is another essential service that involves high school students trained to be peer supporters and health promoters of positive sexuality within their schools. Well-known TV presenter and aspiring politician Tamati Coffey came to town as the Bird Woman from the legendary tale Hatupatu and the Bird Woman. The float represented the city of Rotorua. Coca-Cola New Zealand turned up, but you may not have noticed that as their float was covered with the logos of the essential Rainbow Tick organisation. Celebrating cultural identity, visibility and pride with the Pacifica LGBTQI communities, nestled among them was an ancient god of the Pacific. The New Zealand Falcons is New Zealand's only gay and inclusive rugby club. They proudly displayed the Bingham Bowl, which they won at the Rugby Bingham Cup in 2014. AUT University's float celebrated diversity and inclusivity, the love of knowledge, place and people. Drag divas Buffy and Bimbo danced alongside the students. Family Bar's float was really a motorised nightclub with disco balls, drag queens, semi-naked people and lots of glitter. The winners of the 2014 Mr Gay New Zealand and Mr Bear New Zealand competitions followed in the rear, their goal to share their stories in order to give hope to those in the community that are in fear of being gay or coming out. The Goddess of Love was accompanied by demon bulls and demigods, all sharing the important health message of love your condom. Our national airline made its Pride Parade debut this year. Air New Zealand brought a plane with a very large contingent of cabin crew. However, there was no in-flight movie or meal. ANZ brought a walking ATM and peacocks to the parade. Pride was evident especially in their choice of song, Proud by Heather Small. The final big float was the Goddess of Glam, featuring songstress Lavinia Williams, accompanied by a giant golden skull, jets of fire and frenzied dancers. And coming up right at the end were a large contingent of volunteers and security personnel, without whom this parade would not happen. Thanks for watching Gay Talk Tonight. Remember, go to the website gaytalktonight.com. In the meantime, I'll see you again very soon.